The exchange program begins. The giant silver ship landed quietly in the middle of Earth's Intergalactic Academy. Everyone looked up as the doors opened, revealing students from faraway stars. Among them was Yulari, a young, bright, and proud alien girl from the planet Voltraxis. Yulari walked out with her head held high. She had purple-blue skin, glowing green eyes, and long tendrils flowing from her scalp like soft vines. Her people believed in logic, order, and strict biological control. Emotions were considered distractions. Reproduction only happened once, every 5 years during the mating season. She had come to Earth under a prestigious exchange program to study humans and learn how such a chaotic species had survived this long. To her, humans were strange, emotional, loud, and unpredictable. But her professors said humans were important. She needed to understand them, especially their biology. As she walked through the academy halls, she saw humans laughing, hugging, even wrestling playfully. How did they survive with so much physical contact? She whispered to herself. Her translator beeped. "Welcome, student Yulari," the AI announced. "You have been assigned to human biology class, reproduction and evolution." Yulari nodded, entering the classroom. Inside, students sat around circular desks. Some were alien, most were human, and sitting beside her was a tall human male with dark hair, warm brown eyes, and a lazy smile. "Hey there," he said casually. "I'm Jaden." Yulari blinked. "Please maintain physical distance." Jaden laughed. "You got it." The class began. Professor Elric, a wise old human with silver hair, stood in front of the screen. "Today's topic," he said, "is reproductive cycles across species." Yulari sat up straight. She was ready. The professor began comparing different species, ones who mated once in a lifetime, others who reproduced by spores, and some that had seasonal mating windows. Then he reached humans. "Humans," he explained, "have no fixed mating season. Human males are biologically fertile all year round. Our reproductive capability is always active." Yulari's eyes widened. Her tendrils stiffened. She raised her hand, almost shaking. That's impossible," she said. "You mean human males are always fertile, without a cycle?" The class turned to look at her. Jaden grinned. "Guilty." "That's not healthy," Yulari said. "Biology must have control, regulation. How do you not go mad?" A few students chuckled. Professor Elric answered calmly. "It's true, our biology is constant, but we don't rely on mating seasons. We rely on self-control, emotion, and consent." Yulari sat back slowly, confused. Her mind raced. Always fertile? That means their species is always on edge, always ready. That's dangerous. Jaden leaned closer and whispered, "You okay?" "Your species is unstable," she muttered. "You should not survive." He laughed again, not in a mean way, but with amusement. "We survive just fine. You'll see." After class, Yulari stayed behind. Her hands were shaking slightly. She looked at the human textbooks and charts. All of them confirmed the same thing. Always fertile. She thought about her homeworld. Strict seasons. Controlled urges. Reproduction was organized and supervised by genetic councils. But here, they had choice. Suddenly, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She jumped and spun around. It was Jaden again. "Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. Just wanted to say, if you ever want to study humans up close, I volunteer." Yulari stared at him. Her face slowly turned a deep violet, the alien version of blushing. "I will consider it," she said, quickly turning away. As she walked back to her dorm, her thoughts were loud. How could any species live like this? Why is this human so calm if he's always biologically ready? And why did I feel something when he smiled at me? She shook her head. "No, this is just science, just observation. I'll figure it out." But deep inside, something had already begun to change, and Yulari didn't even realize it yet. Observing the human male Yalari couldn't sleep. Her mind kept spinning like the twin moons of Voltraxis during eclipse season. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face. That human, that smiling, relaxed, dangerously calm male, Jaden. Always fertile. She whispered again in the darkness of her dorm room. The idea wasn't just strange, it was terrifying. On her planet, a male without control would be considered a wild beast, dangerous to be watched. Yet here, on Earth, no one seemed to care. They lived with it, laughed with it, hugged, touched, danced, freely. That night, Yalari made a decision. She would observe him, closely, secretly, scientifically. The next day, she followed Jaden, but not too close. He walked with easy steps, hands in his pockets, chatting with everyone. Human girls waved at him. He waved back. He even high-fived a young alien from the squid-like glorp race. Yalari took notes in her holopad. Subject seems popular. Behavior relaxed. No signs of overdrive. She saw him help a smaller student carry books. Then, he stopped to tie his own shoelace. Then, to Yalari's shock, he rescued a small animal, a furry earth creature called a kitten, from under a bench. The kitten purred in his arms, fertile, kind, calm. This did not make sense. Later, in the lunch hall, Yalari sat a few tables away. She pretended to eat while watching him. He laughed with friends, shared his food, even gave his dessert to a girl who looked sad. Subject shows empathy. Why is the mating signal not affecting his logic? She typed, frustrated. Yalari bit her lower lip. Is he broken? She asked herself. But just then, her tablemate, an insectoid alien named Klikcha, leaned toward her and whispered, "You're watching him too much, Yalari. Be careful. Human charm is contagious." "I'm not interested, Klikcha. I'm studying him." Klikcha clicked his mandibles. That's what they all say, until they start dreaming. Yalari frowned. Ridiculous. Later that day, the students went to the Academy's open training field. The sky glowed orange with two suns, and the gravity adjusted to match each species. Jaden joined a team playing something called hoverball. Yalari sat on a bench with her HoloLens scanning his biosigns. She wanted to see if his hormones would spike, if this fertile male would finally show signs of wild instinct. He didn't. He played, he laughed, he fell once and got up smiling. Even when he scored a goal, he stayed composed. Then, something unexpected happened. As he walked off the field, Jaden spotted Yalari watching him. Their eyes met, and for the first time, she forgot to blink. He walked straight to her. She froze. "Hey, Voltraxis girl," he said, sweat on his brow and smile on his lips. "You come to see me win?" I was simply gathering data," she stuttered. Jaden chuckled. "You've been following me since morning. You planning to clone me or something?" Yalari's cheeks flushed violet again. "I am researching uncontrolled fertility in humanoid males," she said firmly, trying to hide her embarrassment. "Oh," he said, raising a brow. "Want a blood sample too?" She looked horrified. "No, that would require permission, legal forms, lab safety." "I'm joking," he grinned. She blinked. "You joke during mating conversations?" Jaden laughed. "You're fun, Yalari." Then he turned and walked away, leaving her sitting there, confused, flustered, and for the first time in her life, a little excited. That night, Yalari updated her research log. Subject does not show signs of typical alien mating season behavior. Despite constant fertility, subject remains emotionally stable, socially intelligent, and displays kindness toward others. Further study is required. She paused, then added one more line. Also, subject's smile causes unusual heart patterns in observer. Yalari closed her eyes, sighing. She came to study humans. But somehow, one human was starting to study her heart. The misunderstood touch. The moment his fingers brushed hers, the alarm went off. It wasn't loud, but Yalari heard the sharp beep, beep, beep in her neural implant. Her heart jumped. Her tendrils stiffened. Her breath hitched. She pulled her hand back like she'd touched fire. Jaden looked confused. "Hey, sorry, you okay?" I touched you," Yulari whispered, eyes wide, staring at her fingers. "Yeah. You were about to drop that sample. I just grabbed it." Yulari didn't answer. Her mind was racing. Her translator blinked red. The Academy's bio-monitor had picked up a mating signal spike, but not from Jaden. From her. She clutched her hand tightly. No alien had ever caused this before. No contact had ever triggered a personal biological response. Jaden, still unaware, smiled and turned back to the experiment. They were partners in a biology lab assignment. Just 10 minutes ago, she was calm, curious. Now, her internal system thought she was entering a pre-mating state. "Impossible," she muttered. "I have no seasonal trigger. I'm 2 cycles early. This can't be real." But her body felt warm. Her pulse was high, her breath shallow. All because of one human's casual touch? After class, Yulari ran back to her dorm and locked the door. She pulled out her medical scanner and ran a full-body analysis. Heart rate, elevated. Skin temperature, elevated. Emotional. Signals unstable. Cause of disruption, subject Jaden, event, direct touch. She sat down hard on the bed, trembling. "It's not him. It's me. I'm reacting. But how?" Voltraxis females were immune to mating cues outside their season. It was science. It was biology. It was wrong, she whispered. The next day, Yulari avoided Jaden. She sat in the back of class, skipped lunch, didn't look up when he passed her in the hallway. Her emotions were loud, wild, human. By evening, Jaden found her sitting alone in the academy garden. He walked up slowly, holding 2 steaming mugs. "You looked like you needed tea," he said gently. Yulari turned away. "I cannot accept touch from your species anymore." Jaden raised a brow. "I didn't come to touch. Just talk." She looked at him from the corner of her eye. He sat beside her but kept his distance. "I triggered a biological alarm when we touched," she admitted. "My system responded as if you were trying to mate." Jaden nearly choked on his tea. "Whoa. What? I just grabbed a glass slide." "I know," she said quickly. "That's what's strange. My system reacted even though you weren't trying anything. It was automatic. But I'm not in season. I'm not supposed to feel anything right now." Jaden nodded slowly, more serious now. "So, you're feeling something you shouldn't?" Yulari glanced at him. His eyes weren't mocking. They were kind, she exhaled. "Yes, and I don't understand it. I fear my biology is being rewritten." He smiled softly. "Maybe it's not your biology that's changing. Maybe it's your heart." Her tendrils twitched. Voltraxis hearts do not change so easily. Jaden looked up at the stars. Well, human hearts do, all the time. They sat in silence. Yulari took a slow sip of the tea. It was warm, sweet, and calming. Like him, Jaden broke the silence again. "You know, Yulari, we humans don't have mating seasons because we're not designed to love by schedule. We connect when we feel it, not when we're told to." Yulari's voice was soft. "That sounds dangerous," he chuckled. "Yeah, but beautiful too." She didn't speak after that. But something in her had shifted. Her next research log entry was short. "Human touch causes reaction, but not just biological, emotional. Jaden is not dangerous, I am. Forbidden curiosity." She broke the law for one reason. She needed answers about him. Yulari stood outside the Academy's restricted medical wing, her heart pounding like thunder inside her chest cavity. Her fingers trembled near the keypad. The hallway was dark, silent and empty. She had disabled the hall cameras 5 minutes ago. One mistake now and she could be expelled, not just from the Academy but from the entire intergalactic program. But the questions inside her wouldn't stop. Why had her body reacted to Jaden's touch? Why did he make her feel warm, even without contact? Was it truly biology or something more? Her fingers moved quickly. Her people trained in logic and systems. Hacking through the security grid wasn't hard for someone from Voltraxis. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside the cold lab, she walked past tanks filled with DNA samples, suspended organs, and glowing data screens. She reached the central system, the genetic archive. She entered his name, Jaden Carter. Files opened. Human, male, 19, Earth years. DNA sequence active fertility, hormonal levels stable, mutation index 0.0%, emotional profile unusually empathetic, brain scan, enhanced mirror neuron activity. She blinked. What does this mean? She whispered. Why is he so different? Then, a special tag flashed on his file. Subject ID, empathic link potential, high. Yalari's breath caught. That label was rare, extremely rare. It meant a human had the natural ability to form powerful emotional bonds, not just romantic, but psychic connections even across species. Empathic link, she whispered. With me? Suddenly, alert. Unauthorized access detected. Subject notified. She gasped. No, cancel. She tried to shut it down, but it was too late. Footsteps echoed outside the lab. The door opened. Jaden stood there. For a long moment, he didn't say a word. Yalari froze, guilt written all over her glowing face. She dropped her data pad. Her voice shook. I had to know. Jaden stepped forward slowly. You broke into my medical file? She looked away. I didn't mean harm. I only wanted to understand why my body, my heart, reacts to you. He nodded. He didn't look angry, just disappointed. You should have just asked, he said quietly. Tears, real, heavy, alien tears, formed in her eyes. I didn't trust what I was feeling. I thought maybe you were dangerous or broken. He stepped closer. And now? She looked up, voice a whisper. Now, I think maybe I'm the one who's breaking. Jaden slowly reached out. She flinched but didn't move away. He gently touched her hand again. This time, the sensors didn't scream. Her body still responded, but it felt right. Then let's figure it out together, he said softly. That night, Yalari didn't write a research log. She wrote something else instead. His biology is constant, yes, but it's his heart that breaks every rule I believed in. I came here to study a species, but now, I'm afraid I've found something far more dangerous, a connection. The truth in the garden, she was going to be sent back to Voltraxis, unless she confessed. Yalari stood before the disciplinary council, her hands bound by soft field energy cuffs. The room was silent except for the whispers of worried students, watching through the glass wall. Her violet eyes didn't blink. Her tendrils hung low. Breaking into the medical wing was a serious crime. Beside her, Jaden stood straight, arms crossed, refusing to let her face it alone. He had come uninvited and told the council, if you punish her, punish me too. That only made the whispers louder. One elder alien from the council spoke, his tone cold. You accessed private genetic data, violated Earth Academy codes, and endangered interspecies trust. I know, Yalari said, but I did it because something inside me was changing, and I didn't understand it. And now you do? She nodded slowly, then turned to Jaden. I understand him. They didn't expel her. Instead, they gave her one final warning and suggested she take time to rebalance her emotions. But emotions weren't her enemy anymore. That night, she didn't return to her dorm. Instead, she walked to the glowing bioluminescent garden behind the academy. It was quiet. Wind blew softly through the singing crystal leaves. Jaden was already there, sitting on a stone bench. She approached without a word and sat beside him. Why did you defend me? She asked. Because you're not just some alien student anymore, he said. You're Yalari, my friend. Her tendrils fluttered gently. I wasn't trained for friendship with humans. Me neither, he smiled. But I think we're both doing okay. She turned to him, expression serious. I have to ask you something, and I need the truth. Anything. She leaned forward, voice almost a whisper. You are always fertile, but I don't see chaos, I see peace in you. Why? Jaden looked up at the stars. Because we don't let our biology control us. We control it. But how? He turned back to her. Because we have something stronger than instinct, we have the power to choose. Yalari's voice cracked. You choose when to feel, when to care, even when your body says otherwise. He nodded. That's the real difference between us, isn't it? She looked down at her hands. My people say emotions are weakness, but when I touched you, I felt strength. Jaden moved closer, but not too close. Then maybe your people were wrong. She stared at him for a long moment, and for the first time, she smiled. Not a polite alien smile. Not a nervous reaction. A real, soft, human-like smile. I want to learn how to choose like that, she said quietly. Jaden extended his hand. You already started, Yalari. She placed her fingers in his. No alarms. No warnings. Just warmth. And the stars above them watched in silence. The festival of bonds. She stood in front of the entire academy, raised her hand, and said the most forbidden words. A Voltraxis female could speak. I choose a fertile male, outside of mating season. Gasps echoed across the open plaza. The festival of bonds was supposed to be a cultural exchange, symbolic and safe. Each species would present their ancient customs of courtship and honor. No real mating rituals were allowed. Everything was just for display. But Yalari had broken the rule. She hadn't just participated in the festival, she had made a public declaration, the kind that, on her planet, marked the start of a permanent biological bond, and she had aimed it directly at a human, at Jaden. He froze mid-step, standing on the platform beside her, holding the ceremonial flower given to guests. The spotlight had just shifted from the glorp dancers to them. The whole audience, humans, aliens, even teachers, watched. In stunned silence, Yalari's voice was clear and proud. I choose Jaden Carter, not because of biology, but because of how he chooses kindness, even when his instincts allow chaos. A moment passed. Then another. Everyone waited for Jaden to say something. Anything. He looked at her with wide eyes, then slowly stepped forward. He didn't ask her if she was sure. He didn't try to explain it away. He simply smiled, took her hand, and said, Then I choose you back. After the ceremony, chaos erupted in the back halls. Some Voltraxis elders stormed out. Others demanded Yalari be returned to her home planet immediately. She has declared pre-bond without cycle permission, one hissed. Her genetic clock will destabilize, another warned. But Yalari stood tall, clutching Jaden's hand. I'm not unstable, she said calmly. For the first time, I'm balanced. The headmistress of the academy, an old alien from the Talari race, finally spoke. Let her stay. She broke no human law. And perhaps this is the beginning of something new. Later that night, the two of them sat quietly in the garden again. Jaden looked up at the alien stars above them. Did you really mean it? He asked. Yes, Yalari said. But not as a scientist. Not as a curious alien. I meant it. As someone learning what it means to choose. Jaden reached into his pocket and handed her the flower she gave him during the ceremony. Then, this is yours. I'm just the one lucky enough to carry it. She looked at the flower, soft and glowing in her palm, and for the first time in her species' history, a Voltraxis female smiled not because her mating cycle had begun, but because her heart had. A new definition of mating. Her ship rose into the sky, but her heart refused to leave. From the Academy's highest balcony, Jaden watched the glowing Voltraxis vessel lift off into orbit. His hand was clenched tightly around the smooth crystal pendant Yalari had left behind, a silent goodbye, and also a promise. She was being called home. Not because of punishment, but because her government wanted answers. They wanted to know why one of their most gifted females had formed a bond, outside her biological window, with a human male from an emotionally unstable species. Jaden didn't fight it. He knew Yalari wasn't leaving to say goodbye. She was leaving to change her world. Back on Voltraxis, Yalari stood in front of 1,000 silent observers, elders, scholars, geneticists, her own family. They examined her scans, her logs, her emotional records. They saw something strange. No seasonal trigger, no artificial hormones, no forced activation. And yet, her neural centers linked to pair bonding were lit brighter than any measured before. "Explain this," one elder demanded. "You are not in season." Yalari looked straight ahead. "That's correct, my cycle did not choose, I did." Murmurs erupted. One scholar shouted, "It defies science." "No," Yalari replied calmly. "It expands it." She stepped forward, holding up a holographic image of Jaden, smiling, holding her hand, standing beside her at the festival. "I bonded with him not because my biology commanded me, but because his behavior inspired me. His kindness, his control, his care for others, despite his constant fertility." There was silence. Then a voice from the crowd said, "Then, the human male is not dangerous?" Yalari smiled. "He is the safest choice I've ever made." Weeks passed, and then, one bright morning on Earth, Jaden received a message through the Academy's interstellar relay. It had only 5 words. "Still fertile, still choosing you." Attached was a second message, official and stamped. Voltraxis, Science Council Reproductive Behavior Study. Now includes Earth-human emotional triggers. Jaden laughed aloud. Yalari wasn't just a student anymore. She was a revolution. 3 months later, under the same stars where they once talked about fear and biology, she returned. No ships watched. No council followed. Just Yalari, walking across the garden, her tendrils glowing softly, her steps calm. Jaden stood up, speechless. She walked right up to him, touched his chest gently and said with a smile, "You were right. Love doesn't wait for permission." He took her into his arms, not because it was biology, but because it was the purest choice they both could make. And as they stood together, the stars above seemed to blink in approval.